Welcome to InBed with the UnWed. I'm Marie Carmel. Today we're talking everyone's favorite topic, first dates. Now, first dates are awful a lot of the times.
They can be.
They can be.
They can be.
Where do we go? What do we wear? What do we do? What happens if we don't like them? What happens if we do like them? Those are all questions that we're riddled with. We're talking top tips to help you tackle that first date. So I thought it'd be really important to also get a male perspective on this subject especially. So joining us is Lyman Wynn. Lyman is a member of the UnWed, lives in Salt Lake City. So welcome.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you for being
having me.
here.
Yeah.
Tell us a little bit about yourself.
Let's see. Is this like, I feel like I'm filling out like a dating profile
No
now.
pressure. Are you
I know.
single?
Yes, I am
shit.
single.
Okay.
That's okay. So I am
The stakes just raised, guys.
39 years old. I live in Sandy, Utah. I'm a commercial photographer. I own a company called Liquid Studios, specialize in fitness and commercial photography. And I've been divorced for 12 years.
Wow.
Whew, I'm probably one of the longer ones in the group, I think.
That's true.
Yeah.
I'm 6. I thought I was one of the
Yeah,
ones.
no, I've been 12, so.
Congratulations.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you. Happily divorced for 12 years. This is the longest relationship I've ever had.
Perfect. With yourself,
yeah,
right?
with myself,
it's
yeah.
great. Yeah. It just keeps getting better.
We broke up a few times, but we're back.
All right. I
We're
hate
back.
when that happens.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, good.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So he's going to be a pro for sure on first dates.
I don't
right?
know if a pro or if I've obviously failed miserably in the last 12
Maybe
years.
we
One
should
of the
just
two.
stop right now.
Totally.
Okay. So,
Yeah.
what's your biggest first date pet peeve?
I think my biggest first date pet peeve is when I'm on a date and the other person is not engaged at all or only talks about themselves. There's no interaction. There's no trying to get me involved in the conversation or anything, or it's very one-sided, right?
Yeah.
You know, I ask them a question and they answer, but they don't answer anything back. You know, and so
Kind of
I
like
think
when you're online texting.
absolutely.
Same thing.
Absolutely.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's definitely mine. What's yours?
Okay, so we're gonna get to that. That's a good one. He's already taking my tips.
Yeah.
So mine is something I'm terrible at, but it's when you show up and you automatically know that, oh shit, like this isn't gonna go anywhere.
Yeah.
And so, which brings me to my first tip, which is have some type of personal interaction before you actually go on that date. Which like seems really obvious, but like I'm actually terrible at.
Have you ever like talked to somebody online and you
No.
meet them in person and you can't stand their voice? Like that's the very first thing.
No, but I have had someone where on the phone
Yeah.
and it was like, oh God, you don't sound anything like what I thought you would.
Yeah. I remember years ago going on a date with a girl that I'd like known on social media for like a while.
Uh-huh.
I think that's how we met. And we
How
went on a
everyone
date
meets.
and I'm pretty sure her voice was deeper than mine when we got on the date. It was terrifying. And like that may sound like a really small thing, but like I lost all attraction immediately.
That's
And so I
funny.
think I almost always talk to people. I'm weird. I'm old, maybe that's why. But I like to talk to people
Yeah,
on the
you're old.
phone. Yeah,
Yeah.
totally.
Yeah.
I like to talk to people on the phone beforehand, and I feel like you can kind of gauge a personality a lot better than
At
via
least,
text.
totally.
Way funnier via text message. So I'm sure
Well, me
people would
too,
be
'cause I can think
disappointed.
about it.
Yeah.
I'm disappointed meeting him in person, by the way.
You're disappointed.
I'm just kidding.
Thank you. Thank you.
I'm just
did I
kidding.
look like my pictures?
Actually, he does. Yeah.
All right.
yeah.
Good.
Well, I don't do a lot of online dating anymore, but I have, and that was my biggest, like, my excuse at least is I don't have a lot of time, and I text a few times, and it's just like, okay, I just want to meet you and see if this
Right.
works, where I could have saved myself so much trouble if I would just have at least had a phone call, even maybe a FaceTime, because there's so much more to someone than a couple photos
Yeah.
online and a poorly written profile,
Absolutely.
right?
Right.
All right. Okay. So, have some type of interaction,
For sure.
personal interaction.
In a world where we live, where there's Skype and there's FaceTime and there's Marco
Yes.
Polo and there's
So many options.
Snapchat or I don't know, whatever it
Yeah.
is, I feel like you can at least interact with somebody via technology.
And it could be like 10 minutes. It doesn't have to be like this like drawn out conversation, right? Because that's not the point. It's really just to kind of get
Right.
a feel.
For sure.
Okay. Good job. Okay. Second, where do we go
Yes.
on a first date? Where do you go?
So, I require two things. First of all, I don't hang out. When I ask somebody out, I don't say, do you want to hang out? because I'm 39 years old. I don't hang out with people of the opposite sex, really. You know, I date. So as far as where to go, I typically, you know, I'm kind of like a food connoisseur. I like to think somewhat to myself, you know. So I like nicer restaurants. I'm not saying you need to go to like a fancy, nice restaurant, but like, don't go to like Chili's or something for your first date. Like, you know what I mean? Like, there's a million places where, don't care where you live, where you can actually find somewhere that's like a nicer place, not necessarily cost-wise, but is a little more intimate than, you know, going to Chili's and
not a chain restaurant.
Right, exactly. Like, just I feel like that's almost like it's just like calling in a date if you don't actually do anything unique for it. So,
Okay, that's good.
so do you want to know like I have like a spot
Yes.
first date
Oh,
spot.
okay. Yeah. What's your
So
first date
my we'll see. There's probably a few people in this group that I've probably gone on first dates with and they're like, son of a bitch, you took everybody there.
There we know.
No, there is a place downtown in Salt Lake called BTG Wines.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and it's in the old bay from, you guys remember the old bay from back in the day, the old club? Yeah, that's
I
where
don't,
it's in the
but
basement of the bay,
I
where
didn't
the
go
bay
to
used to
clubs
be.
when I was young.
I didn't either. I just drove past and wished I was there. But
Okay.
yeah. So I like it because it's got a nice ambiance, right? Like it's got cool decor and everything like that. It looks like a nicer place. You know, it's usually not super busy unless you go like, you know, on a weekend late. I'm kind of a wine guy. I like it. Maybe it's a way for me to like kind of show off a little bit because it's like one of the few places in Utah that you can get a wine flight. Flights. Yeah. It's one of the, I think it's like only 2 or 3 places in all of Utah you can get them. So it's just a nice dining experience. It's an intimate setting. You know, the quiet, the booths there. So the nice thing I like about it is I always ask for a booth when I book whatever. Also get a reservation. I don't care if it's dead. Always get a reservation. Yeah. Well, I'm just saying, like, it shows that first of all you put some effort into it. And it wasn't a last minute thing. Like open table, whatever you want to do. Like get a reservation, even if it, you know, the restaurant's going to be it. Just do it. So they have like giant booths that are literally like this tall, so you're blocked out from everybody else, right? It blocks out the noise of everybody else, and that's why I like it as far as that goes. So that's kind of like my date spot. And the nice thing is it can be a place where you just go get drinks. So let's say 10 minutes into it, you're like, peace out, Boy Scout. This is not my person. Like you can, or you can order food and everything like that. So I think doing a nice thing like that. On the flip side, if there's somebody that I'm not 100% sure, like some people you can't gauge, especially when you meet them online, you can't gauge if like this is a person I'm going to want to talk to, or maybe you don't have time to talk to them on the phone, or they don't have time. So sometimes I'll just simply meet them for.
That's kind of a red flag, just so you know.
Yeah, I think so, but I get it sometimes. Sometimes life gets busy. So you know, for me, sometimes I'll just meet somebody for coffee, like for a 15-minute coffee break, and you know, and that's like a good introduction. Say, I think that in itself is kind of like almost like the phone call. You know what I mean? It gets you, and especially if I can't tell if somebody looks like their profile.
Okay, don't say that yet. That's coming up.
Okay, sorry. Okay.
That's
I'm getting ahead of myself.
Okay,
here,
no, it's good. But that's a big deal.
Yeah. So I think picking a place that is quiet, intimate, and is not a chain restaurant.
Okay.
And somewhere where you can have some privacy, I think is important, and not be around a million people. Like I think it's cool to go jazz games, all that kind of stuff. That's great. You can do that after, but like the first hour of meeting somebody, I feel like you need to be able to have a conversation. That's why I'll never go on like a movie date for my first date because why do I just want to sit next to somebody and not talk for 2 hours? That's pointless. Yeah. You know what I mean? Yeah.
So I absolutely agree with all of that. I hate when there's like even live music because you can't hear.
Yeah.
I mean, I love live music, but it's not great for conversation.
Yeah.
I usually do coffee because it's easy.
Right.
And there is like an end game, right? You're leaving because it's short. One thing I will do is I actually like to schedule first dates a lot during the week because I get up really early in the morning, and so I'm like, I cut off at 9 o'clock.
Yeah.
Like regardless, even if it's going great, like I have a reason, like I gotta go, I'm getting to bed.
If you cut off our date at 9 o'clock, I wouldn't ask you out again.
Really?
Yeah. I would think that she was so not interested.
Oh, interesting.
Ah, interesting. Okay.
All right.
Anyways.
Okay, I'm gonna think about that. Okay. All right. What do we wear? Tip number 3. Let's talk about clothes.
Okay. So from a guy's perspective, a little bit different, I think. But I think that don't show up in just jeans and like a t-shirt, in my opinion. You know, I think that too many guys, especially in our age range, get very comfortable. Especially if you're divorced, right? I feel like when you get married, you get very relaxed in what you wear. You're not trying to impress somebody as much. I know I did when I was married, you know what I mean? And I'm like, I look back and see pictures of when I was married and think, what the hell was I wearing? What is that? Cargo pants? Sweet. But I just think something that looks professional, something that looks nice, that maybe, but don't, make sure it's your style. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not going to show up. Yeah, I'm not going to show up wearing, a tuxedo when that's obviously not the person that I am.
You don't wear that every day?
No, but like I would wear probably something like I would be okay if it was a more of a casual type date to wear something like I'm wearing now, right? So that's my personality. This is what I wear when I go out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I always wear a dress usually.
Okay.
But I wear dresses every day for work, so that's like all I own.
I think from a girl's perspective, a dress is always a good idea because it can be casual or it can be
totally
more fancy,
totally.
right?
Yeah.
I remember I asked a girl out and I told her where we were going. We were going to a very nice restaurant in Park City, and she showed up looking homeless. Like, and not that she wasn't a beautiful girl or anything like that. It just was not. It wasn't appropriate. And even I even told her, hey, dress nicer and everything like that. And she's like, oh, I didn't have time. And for me, I was like, okay, well, you're going to be the one there everybody's going to be staring at, wondering why you didn't dress up.
Okay.
So I think dress for the occasion and make sure that you look nice and presentable.
Yes, obviously.
But without
trying too hard. Yeah.
Right.
Well, and I will say for women, this is my personal opinion, and you may hate this, but I never dress too sexy because I don't want to first of all, I don't want someone staring at my breasts all night, and I don't want to give off the wrong impression.
That's why I don't wear tight pants.
He doesn't either.
Yeah, that's fine.
So, I mean, that's for me is important. But this brings me back to when I told him to stop talking about
story of my life. Every woman saying so.
Stop talking. Look like your photos.
Yes.
So I think probably men have a bigger issue with this than women because I feel like women are the ones who will generally show up not looking like their photos.
I feel like it's pretty 50-50.
Really?
Yeah.
I don't. Maybe because if a guy I see is using a filter, I will not.
Yeah, but have you ever been catfished?
Oh, no.
You know what catfished is?
No.
Okay, so there's this trend where guys are wearing hats in all their photos.
Oh yes,
and
catfished.
Hatfished, and then they take off their hat and they look nothing.
Yes.
Like they're bald.
But you guys,
not
girls.
That there's anything wrong being bald, but like.
Okay, this is a dating rule for girls.
Yeah.
Is you don't go out with someone until if they have a profile that's all hats, like you gotta ask for a hatless photo.
Right.
That's like.
And I do the same thing. Like if a girl doesn't have, if every picture of a girl is from here up. And I'm not saying because I'm trying to see if she's fat or anything like that. I'm saying you just want to see the whole package. I'll always make the joke to say, I'm afraid that you might be a quadriplegic because I don't see your legs in any of the photos. And usually they all laugh. But that's like, I don't know, like I feel like you need to see, there's a lot of people that are very good at selfies and not looking like they do. For sure. And being a professional photographer, I know that what I can
all
make people look like.
Nothing like
you know
himself.
What I mean? So, so if somebody has all professional pictures on their profile too, red flag, or if they have pictures I can obviously tell, like one of my biggest pet peeves on a girl's profile, if there's like a picture of her blonde and then there's one of her with dark hair and there's one of her red hair and you're like, which one am I dating?
Who are you?
I mean, it's like dating a bipolar person. You're not sure which one's going to show up to the date.
Totally.
So I think that, or the other thing, I think we're getting off track
this
here.
This is so interesting. No, go.
But in online dating specifically too, like the pictures you put on there, please don't, two things. Don't put your friend that's hotter than you on your first picture.
That goes for guys.
Because I get super excited and you're like, oh, and then
or I have to figure out which one you are.
Yeah, or if you have every single picture is a group picture.
Yeah.
I think on my dating profile, I don't think I've ever had anybody else.
Never.
In my pictures.
Never.
I don't know why you would do that necessarily. If I'm gonna do that, pick an ugly friend. Make sure you find your ugliest friend and you stand next to them and take a photo.
Well, I think I get it. The pull to we want to look our best. We have the tools to make us look great. But if all I'm posting is filtered, perfect, skinny nose, tailored cheekbones, I have nowhere to go but down. Yeah. Right? You're going to meet me and I'll automatically be disappointed. I'm setting myself up.
Also, don't have any filter with gears on your profile.
Oh,
That's
yeah.
a, that's
Does
an
anyone
automatic
actually
like
walk around?
swipe left for me. If a girl's got like a
Puppy
Snapchat
dog.
filter that has ears, unless it's like supposed to be funny,
Yeah.
there's literally, I'm not kidding you, there's women that are 40 years old that every single picture on there is that stupid little Halo one,
Oh,
looks
yeah,
like the
yeah.
Athens Greek crown or whatever, that like slims your face and all that kind
That's
of stuff.
you don't even
They
think
look
so.
nothing like that
Oh
person.
yeah. Oh yeah. Well, and if you're only posting like one side of your good
Right.
side, like you have to show the
Or
other.
if you have
eventually.
6 selfies on your profile and they're all the exact same angle,
Yeah, angle,
everything,
exactly.
like
Yeah.
what is the point? Yeah. Mix it up.
All right. Now that we're feeling good about ourselves.
Yeah. I wanted to talk about picking somebody up for a first date versus
Oh, that's
meeting somebody
perfect. Okay,
for a
thank
first
you.
date. 'Cause
Yes.
I don't feel like we had that
Nope.
down to talk
Perfect.
about.
Yeah.
As a guy, I understand women's hesitancy to allow somebody to pick you up to know where you're from, but I will always offer 100% to pick somebody up.
Which I love.
And and I explained to him this way, look, I'm old fashioned. I grew up on a farm. My dad would kick my ass if I didn't open your door or offer to at least pick you up. I'm happy to do that. Can I do that? And if she says, I'd rather meet you, totally fine, right? As far as that goes. But just I think that as a guy, like chivalry's not dead. You can still, offer to pick a girl up. I don't think you're gonna offend anybody by offering.
No.
If she says no, then you don't need to push the issue.
Yeah.
But at least offer for the first time.
Yes.
Because I think some of the best conversations I've actually had is in the car on the way to the date in the very
Oh,
beginning. So,
interesting.
I definitely prefer to pick somebody up, but also I think it depends on who the person is and their previous experiences and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
I always appreciate that question, but I will generally always say I'm going to meet you there if I don't know you
Yeah.
first. Only because there's more at stake than just myself. I have kids that live at my house, and if you're just a creep, which has happened,
Yeah.
I just don't want you knowing where I live. So that's just,
Right.
and I also which hopefully doesn't take away from the chivalry, because I really appreciate that. It's just sadly more safety. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Are we at the date now?
We're on the date
We're
now.
fine? Okay.
We're on the date now, yes.
Okay, and I'm early.
Okay.
But
Perfect.
did you know there's a study that shows that people are more likable when you have to approach me? I'm more likable when you have to approach me
Okay.
than if I'm gonna come in and be searching around and approach you.
Right.
So you're screwed. I'm gonna be the earliest. So you're gonna I automatically have a step up.
All right. Fair enough.
Just so you know.
Okay.
I hate late. If you're
Yes, I would agree.
late, I won't do that.
I would agree.
We're late.
Another pet peeve is literally on the way to the place telling me, I'm going to be 30 minutes late, or I'm going to be 15 minutes late, or
Yeah.
literally canceling before, which has happened. It's crazy to me if the people
Yeah.
do that on the way to the date. But
Yeah.
dire circumstances, I get. Babysitter falls through, that kind of stuff I get. But,
Yeah.
an emergency came up.
Which I actually have canceled before, the last minute, and it was my kids, and I always
Yeah,
feel
but
bad.
I feel like you should always give an explanation and not just
And
the
I call.
emergency, right?
But I do feel like it's such a shitty excuse that I'm
Right.
they're not going to believe me. This is basic. I mean, it's just a hard situation.
Yeah.
Yeah. But
Yeah.
all right. Don't talk about your ex.
Right.
Agree?
Yeah, I would agree. I think to a point in the fact that sometimes in the conversation on a first date, I'll ask people when their last relationship was, and I will ask why they broke up. What was it? You know what
Yeah.
I mean? And I think that kind of tells a lot if the person automatically starts blaming their ex and everything like
Absolutely.
that. Which, let's be honest, we've all had that ex that maybe it was 100% their fault, but I don't believe, I don't know, 100%.
Yeah.
I don't think 100% ever, but
Well, that's
we'll say
good.
90. But I'm saying I don't think any breakup is ever 100% somebody else's
No.
fault.
Yeah,
And
it
if you
takes-
still think that, go get counseling because you're wrong.
I
I'm
won't
sorry.
be dating you.
You
Yeah.
were wrong. No breakup, anything is ever 100% somebody else's fault.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
yes.
Okay. Agreed. There's a balance, but if someone is just constantly in their ex's business, then that's a red flag to me.
Right. Agreed.
Cell phones.
Yes. So I think two things. If I'm going out with a single mom who has kids, I will always tell them, if their phone goes off, I'll say, look, if you need to get that, if that's something to do with the kids, I totally get it. I'm not going to be offended, right? I'm never going to pull my phone out on a date in the middle of the date, unless I'm showing you something on my phone or something like that. I'm just not going to do that. But I've literally had people before sitting at dinner, texting,
Ugh.
and which is if you have to check your phone, let's say that you were going on the date and you have your friend that's gonna check on you to make sure it's okay. Excuse yourself, go to the bathroom, check your phone,
Yeah.
Say yay, nay, the date's great, it's horrible. Help
Yeah.
me, don't help me. Put a sock in the door. I don't know. Whatever you're gonna do. Now where the date's going.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But like, just be respectful of the other person, because I think at the end of the day, we all want to feel like somebody is excited to be with us,
A priority,
and
yeah.
that you're a priority on the date.
Yeah. Good. I mean, I basically agree with that.
Good.
Okay, so I think you mentioned this at the very beginning, when the conversation is very one-sided.
Yes. Well, I think the biggest thing I don't necessarily mind if somebody interrupts me if it's a good conversation, but I think if somebody constantly is talking about themselves, you know, and talking about just over trying to sell themselves, then that's a huge turnoff to me, right?
Yes.
If somebody's telling me, well, I do this and I do this and I do this and I do this, and in the same breath they literally don't ask anything back to me in return, that's a huge red flag to me. And I think that that's something that I'm typically probably not going to go on a second date if I feel like you don't care about knowing anything about me. All you're trying to do is sell yourself to me.
Yeah. I feel like recently I've had quite a few, even just meeting someone for the first time, not necessarily even on date, but like it's very one-sided. And I feel like I'm a good listener, if I do say so myself, which may not be the case, but they talk and talk and talk, and eventually I feel like I just kind of sit back and great, go for it, you know. And so I leave. I know a ton about them, but I don't really feel like they were very interested in me.
Yeah.
So basically, have good open-ended conversation. Arrive first if you can.
Right.
Don't ask yes or no questions. Don't talk only about yourself.
Right.
What happens if you're towards the end? I'm just not feeling it. I just know whether or not, like, I obviously am not feeling it, or like I like this guy, but like I just can see that we're not a good match for whatever reason.
Right.
But they ask you out again.
I'm probably overly blunt, and
Okay.
I will tell you if I don't, you know, I don't know if it happens too much, like on this first date, like on the date, if they say, you know, do you want to go out again? I guess I've had people say that, but I think usually it typically happens after the drop off, and they send you, hey, thanks for the fun night.
For sure.
You know, and sometimes they'll say, I'd love to see you again, or when do I get to see you again? And, you know, sometimes if you're not feeling it, like, I would rather some girl just tell me. Absolutely. I'm not, you know, not necessarily, you don't have to do it in a mean way, but say, hey, I had fun tonight. Or maybe you didn't have fun. I don't know. You don't need to lie. If you didn't have fun, don't say that. But like, you know, hey, I had a great time with you.
We hate wine bars.
Yeah, like, but you were a raging alcoholic, Lyman, so no. But I'm saying, like,
valid.
if they, right, valid, absolutely. We're only 2 in, we're good. But I think that I'd rather have somebody just tell me flat out that they're not interested.
Yes.
Than continue to make me wonder.
Yeah.
And I feel like the older you get, the better I become at that, and I feel like the better the people that I date have become.
Yes.
In that situation, it's just being brutally honest. You don't have to tell them like you're a dick or you don't look like your pictures, but just say, hey, honestly, like I think, you know, you're a great person. Best of luck to you. I just don't think we're a match.
Totally.
I don't know how you can be offended by that.
I mean, I think people can, but it means nothing about them. But this actually used to be super hard for me, because one of my things I've had to work on is communication.
Right.
And I don't want to hurt someone's feelings, and it's, you know, so I now am very good, but I would always say yes, whether or not I thought we should go out again or not, at least on the spot.
And then you ghost them afterwards.
No, actually, I never did that.
Never ghosted anybody.
No. I hope no one's listening that I actually ghosted. Don't think so.
We've all ghosted somebody in our lives.
I have to think about that. Have I? I feel like I really haven't.
I feel like you've got to have ghosted somebody.
Have you?
Absolutely, I've ghosted somebody
A lot?
before. No, I wouldn't say a lot, but I think we all have ghosted somebody to some extent.
Oh, okay. Well, maybe to some extent. But I feel like it's after I've said no and they won't like stop. Then I'm like, I'm gone.
Yeah.
I need to go check my phone for real quick.
If you guys have been ghosted by her,
By me, let us
feel
know.
free to drop
I
me my DMs
apologize
and
in
tell me about it,
advance.
and I will out her in the group. So there you go.
Okay. Anyway, on to the next. Yeah. But I do feel like honesty is the best policy, even if it's hard.
Agreed.
Sometimes, especially on the spot, is really hard. And sometimes I feel like, too, it's really, I mean, unless it's really obvious that it's not going anywhere, a first date is hard to get to know someone enough to know that this really isn't going somewhere. So sometimes I will say yes to a second, even if I'm just like, I don't know, like he wasn't terrible, maybe they're nervous. I don't know.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like for the most part, you know, though. For me, I feel like I typically know if I'm interested or if I'm not interested.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. The big question that I'm sure everyone is waiting is: do you have sex on the first date?
Have I? Yes. I don't know if do I don't know if that's a hard question to answer because I believe that every situation is different. I have had situations where I've had sex on the first date and I've dated them for 3 years, and I've had situations where I've tried really hard to my last person I was dating. We waited months and months and months, thinking that was going to help the situation, and I actually don't think it did. To be honest with you,
That's interesting.
Yeah, so it's kind of so I think it depends on the situation, and I never, I hear some people say, I never kiss on the first date, I never have sex on the first date. I'll never say never, because I believe every situation is different, and I'm the type of person that if I feel like something's right in the moment, I'm going to do it. And if it's right for both of you and you both feel comfortable and you're both consenting adults, then do it. If you don't want to, then don't. It's pretty easy. You know what I mean? So I think setting clear boundaries and stuff like that. But I don't believe there's ever saying, never ever will I ever do this. I'll never say that because some situations are different, and I think we've all had that person that we met where we've had instant chemistry, and we've wanted to jump their bones, however you want to say it. Have you had sex on your first date?
Absolutely.
Yeah. See. All right.
But I will say, as a general rule, I won't.
Well, I don't know if there's a lot of people that go out on a first date thinking, I'm gonna bone tonight.
I think you'd be surprised by how much.
Really? I don't know if everybody's like, I think that, I guess sometimes. I think sometimes it's, let's be honest, sometimes it's kind of like if you've been talking to this person for a little while, sometimes it's like almost. Some
pent up.
Well, I think sometimes you've talked about it almost in some ways. Have you ever, I've had situations like that before. Yeah. You sound like sluts right now. Don't slut shame us.
Only him, not me.
You've had sex on the first date. You're just as bad. Don't.
So long ago.
Yeah, sure. 6 months. 6 months.
We're not gonna talk about that yet.
When was the last time you had sex on a first date?
That actually has been a long time.
I'm just kidding. I'm not.
No, it actually has been a long time. I thought. First, I thought you were gonna ask me when's the last time I had sex, and I'm like, well, I could. Where's my? What's the date? I know. Here's my thing about sex on the first date, from a female perspective.
Okay.
I think it's absolutely fine if you want to, as long as, for me, I'm in a space knowing that this may not go anywhere, because I could be wrong, but I, in my personal professional opinion, think that if there is a real connection on either side, sex isn't going to ruin anything. Right? If there is a not sure of connection, and maybe I have a connection and they don't, sex could ruin something for me. So through my girlfriends, our rule, girls, if you're listening, is if you don't really like a guy, but you're physically attracted to him, fuck his brains out on the first date, because it's not going anywhere. But if you kind of like him and you want to see where it's going to go, don't have sex with him, because you're not going to lose either way in that situation. Because if I like you and I want to go out with you again, not having sex with you is, if that's an actual connection, it's not going to make you not like me.
I probably am going to go slightly different in the fact that I say whatever feels right in the moment, and I'm not going to.
I hate that answer. Sorry.
Really? Well,
I do.
I don't know. I don't like. I guess I'm the type of person that.
I feel like you can't trust that.
I don't like rules, and I think that if you.
I fucking love rules. Give me a rule, I will follow it.
Yeah, I just feel like I'm just not a rule follower. I guess I don't know. Maybe I'm a rebel in that regard. But I think that if it feels right and you're both consenting and it's both you what you want to do in that moment,
then go for it.
Yes. If you have any hesitancy at all, then don't. Like, it's pretty simple as far as that goes. You know what I mean? Like, I think that if you and I've had situations where, like, on a first date, I wasn't feeling it, and literally had somebody crawling on top of me, and you're like, slow down. Like,
I hear that happens a lot, actually, with women to men.
Surprisingly, yes, sometimes. Depends on the girl. But I'm sure it happens vice versa, probably way more. But, I think that I'm just that type of person that if you want to do something and it feels right and you both consent to it, then do it. I always say no regrets, only forgets.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm gonna think about that.
She's judging me right now. She's so judging me right now. By the way, this doesn't mean I'm trying to have sex every other first date. I just realized that's probably how it's
You
coming
heard this
across.
wine bar. Do it
That's
feels
definitely
good, girls.
no.
Whatever.
I'm just saying, in the circumstances, like I say, I've had to go both ways.
I know, yeah.
No.
I don't think sex ruins anything if there is a connection on both sides. For me, it's hard to tell if that connection is real or if it's just physical.
Right.
In the moment, and I'm at a place in my life that I am not really interested in just a physical connection. I want something more, and so, which is why I feel like I just would normally err on the side of caution and just wait.
Sure.
Like, that's my thing.
Let me say, if you have any hesitancy, don't do it.
Absolutely.
There
Yeah.
you go.
Yeah. Okay. Last but not least, first dates are a shit show, generally. So the last tip is basically have fun with it. Don't take it too seriously. It's just part of the process. Like if you're so like serious about going to this first date, you have nothing but heartbreak and letdown ahead of you.
But I also think like be selective in your first dates.
For sure.
Like I think there's nothing more unattractive to me than like trying to court somebody and knowing that they're going on 4 to 5 dates a week. Like
I will stop dating you.
This is not The Bachelor. I am not
Oh,
going
it's
to
not?
compete against all these dudes. Like this is not my thing. And bless your heart for being honest and saying that, because I've had girls tell me, "Oh, this is the 4th date I've been on this week."
To sum up, here's our tips. Talk on the phone, have some type of interaction to begin with.
Especially if you're like, if you're worried at all, if you have the smallest inkling that either person doesn't look like them, like they look like, if you think this person possibly is married, like, or
Call
any
me,
of this
I'll
kind
find
of
that
stuff,
out fast.
I promise you, especially if you're talking late at night and they don't answer the phone.
Well, I go to bed at 9:30.
Okay, but I'm saying if you're texting and then you try to call in the middle of it and they're like,
I
oh,
can't. Okay, yeah.
that's a red flag.
Okay.
Yeah.
2, get a good location, not loud, able to talk. Optional for a quick getaway.
Or at least setting up the option to get
That you
away,
could.
right?
Okay.
Yeah.
What to wear, don't overdo it. For me, don't dress too sexy. Look like your photos.
Definitely look like your photos, for sure.
Arrive early. Don't talk all about yourself. Don't talk about your ex too much unless it's in context.
Right.
Put your cell phone away.
Right.
What did we say?
And don't get drunk.
Be yourself, don't get drunk.
Like us today doing this.
Don't do this. If you're not into them, be honest.
Yeah.
Honesty is the best
Don't
policy.
say I
know
would love
it's
to
hard.
say, because I've literally had people say I would love to see you again.
You
And they
have
don't
girls
mean
that
it.
don't like you?
Oh, absolutely.
Interesting.
I'm of an acquired taste.
Okay.
I'm overly sarcastic, I think.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
But like, if you're not interested, just
tell
tell
us.
them you're not interested.
God.
Don't waste somebody's time. Nobody wants to be that person, especially like girls always say like, oh, do guys not ask girls out? Well, guess what? The problem is like at some point we get exhausted of like chasing somebody and saying, you know, can we go, oh this, and it's all excuses, and sometimes they're valid and sometimes they're not. Most of the time it's just like they are not interested and they are either too nice or they've never learned how to set appropriate boundaries, and they can't just say no. Like no is okay to say,
is good.
and if somebody keeps not like respecting that boundary when you say no, then you at that point you can cut them out and you can go some at that point. Is my opinion that if somebody's not respecting your boundaries, then you can, and
Absolutely.
thinks it's okay to do that.
Totally.
Right.
I actually agree with that. Sex on the first date is up to you. Controversial topic, but
Yeah, I'm not saying you need, like, I feel like maybe we should just edit the whole part out, because it is not common to happen, but I'm saying it has happened
well, yes, for everyone, I'm sure.
for almost everyone.
For almost everyone.
everyone.
All right.
Yeah.
And at the end of the day, have fun with it. Don't take it too seriously because it is a shit show out there.
Don't say yes to everybody.
All right.
Good.
Thanks for joining us. Hope you learned something.
Peace out.